Hello and welcome to the National Leadership Briefing. My name is Doug Sharpe. I am your host today for the briefing. Thank you for joining us. As you may notice, we are back at the office. I just want to clarify for everybody that we are here and we're operating in the office again while respecting, of course, the social distancing guidelines. For obviously, we have people out there that track along with us that don't necessarily share our views and values, and I can just hear them already going, "What are you doing going back to work?" I go, "Wait a second." Well, first thing is we never stopped working through any of this. We just did it in various other locations. Well, we are back at the office. I'm at my desk. I'm going to be here from now on. We are going to be respecting the social distancing guidelines. No one's going to get hurt. I've got the office staff alternating days and all that. So we're just going to be fine here, but we are going to be here at my desk. Then we're going to head over to the boardroom, and then we're going to come back to my desk today. But here's what we're covering today, and this is really important. Now, I should say we've got, again, a lot of new folks on the call, the briefing today. I want to make sure it's clear that everyone knows that if you are a note taker, if you're somebody that likes to take notes, which is, by the way, a great thing to do on the National Leadership Briefing, because this isn't Netflix or Prime Video. This is actually work. So we're here to work. We're going to be going through things today that are intended to help you, to be tools for you. We're going to be giving you some tools that are manageable in your hands, information that you can immediately use. So if you are a note taker, feel free to take notes. However, I just want you to know I talk fast because we try to get in as much as we can during the hour, but you are going to get a video of this briefing immediately following the briefing. So we actually send out a recording of the briefing to everybody, along with all of the resources that we referenced during any other briefing. Now, on that note as well, I got to qualify something here. I kind of foreshadowed this briefing today during the midweek touch point that we just had on Wednesday, and I made a suggestion that everybody watch the April 3rd, 2020 briefing, the National Leadership Briefing. So if at some point in time you feel like you just haven't got all the information today because you haven't watched that briefing ahead of this one, then I encourage you to do that as well. If you're just catching this after the fact, go watch the April briefing. We discussed the challenges before us, the solution before us, and the plan for the road ahead. And if that's a great foundation for what we're going to be talking about today. And I don't want you to feel like you're lost, but you know what? Everybody, when they jump on the briefing, it is like a moving train. So you are going to feel a little lost at first. So here we go. What are we going to cover today? First of all, like we always do on every National Leadership Briefing, we're going to be covering the 4 pillars. The very thing that we rally around here at the National Leadership Briefing are the 4 pillars, the things that we believe in, the things that we share in common, the things that unite us, that draw us together, that magnetize us to each other. We're going to be reviewing those. However, I'm going to be presenting it in a slightly different way today because I want to actually just shake it up a bit so you can see it from a different perspective. The second thing we're going to be doing today, obviously over my shoulder here, you see conservativeupdate.com. We're going to be updating you on a very exciting next phase that we're entering into on that campaign, where we are engaging in the process of identifying not only who is going to be the next leader of a major political party. However, we're also engaging in the process because that individual could quite possibly become the prime minister of our nation and be in a key leadership position to make very significant decisions that will impact the lives of our neighbor in either a positive or a negative way. So I'm going to update you on a very key next phase that we're entering into with conservativeupdate.com and that project there. We also are going to move into the boardroom, and we're going to be pulling out the teaching template. If you're new to the briefing here today, we have various teaching templates that we use to help illustrate what it is that we're sharing. We make these downloadable files as well. You can actually go to the NLBCanada.ca website and download these files as well, and you can go out and teach some of these same things as well in your own sphere of influence, and you can take them and use them. But we are going to be using the teaching template today to talk about current challenges we're having with civil government and some of the things that are really important for you to know that you could call hard truths. We're going to be looking at some things that are difficult, some things that are very hard to put your eyes on or listen to, but you need to know the gravity of the situation that we're in and some of these significant challenges that we're having with civil government in our nation today. So we're going to be doing that in the boardroom. And then we're going to be coming back to the desk here, and I'm going to finish up here because I want to tell you about 3 more opportunities. You remember, here on the National Leadership Briefing, we come together, we create a critical mass of people that share our views and values. We all come together and we scan the horizon all the time, looking for the things that we can capitalize on, the opportunities that are out there for us to exercise our combined influence. So I'm going to share with you 3 opportunities that you are going to have on the road ahead as a part of this large group of people that we've gathered together from across the nation, and how you can increase your influence locally, and the importance of, remember, I told you this before, the importance of your own personal network and what you can do to increase your influence locally as well in your own personal network, as well as combined with us across the nation. So we've got lots to cover today. My goodness, it took me a lot of time just to cover what we're covering. That's how much we've got to cover today. So let's get started right away. We're going to start again, of course, on the 4 pillars. I should mention, over this shoulder here, you're going to see that I actually have a shout out to Canada Family Action. That is a citizen action organization that I lead. We are using this video today as a training tool for the organization. So I've got their logo up there, and we're going to be sending it out to them. So I just shout out to all our peeps there with Canada Family Action. By the way, if you're sharing your tools, these tools with your organizations, get us your logos and stuff. I'll put them in the backdrop. We'll share everybody's logo. We like to know who's a part of the team. So feel free to get that to me electronically. All right, so let's start with the 4 pillars. So here we are. If you're new on the briefing today, never been here before, you might be going, am I even in the right place? This guy's going to talk for how long? So you want to know if it's going to be worth your time. Well, let me just confirm for you, first of all, that you are in the right place if you believe in these 4 things. So there's 4 things that we believe in here, that we rally around, ideas, concepts, beliefs that we rally around, that we try to advance in society, culture, politics, and government realms. And they are, first of all, every single person that's on this briefing today believes that parents should have the right to raise their children the way they want, that parents can actually raise their kids with the same faith tradition and with the same values that they were raised with, and they want to do all of that without the interference of civil government. They want these freedoms to actually pass on their beliefs to their kids. Now that seems pretty basic, but that is a huge priority that was identified by the people that we serve all across the nation, and it has proven to be the most significantly popular pillar of all 4 pillars. But here's the second pillar, another thing that we rally around here on the National Leadership Briefing. The second thing is that we believe that those we elect to serve us in civil government must respect and defend our right of belief and freedom of religion. Now that is key. That is the litmus test, by the way, for every single electoral process we engage in here at the National Leadership Briefing. Is we look our candidates right in the eyes now and we say, are you going to respect and defend my right of belief and freedom of religion when you are elected to the position that you are suggesting I vote for you for? Are you going to do it? And you can tell, I'll tell you what, when a candidate looks to the ground or looks sideways or whatever, you can tell if they're actually on side with you. And as a matter of fact, today, I am going to show you an example again. I've shared this before, of a candidate who got elected to the House of Commons. He's sitting in the House of Commons today, in the House of Commons, who definitely does not respect and defend your right of belief and freedom of religion, yet he sounds like he does. And I'm going to show you how to spot these guys and gals actually as you're listening to them. So we're going to teach you that today as well. Okay, so that's the second pillar, that those we elect to serve us in civil government must respect and defend our right of belief and freedom of religion. The third pillar, the next pillar that we rally around, this is key to all of us on this call today. And if this is you too, if this is a priority for you, then you are definitely in the right place. And that is that we have an expectation that the laws and policies that are passed and enacted by civil governments must provide for the safety and security of the citizens, but especially the vulnerable that live among us in our communities. Now, that sounds like something that, of course, Doug, who is going to pass a law that would hurt people? But the truth is that governments at all levels in our country have recently been passing laws that what they use is they use something that it's a theory where you pass a law and you say, well, okay, that is a justifiable toll on the number of people that just to get our agenda through. They actually pass the law as if it's okay that you're placing people at risk just so you can achieve the objective that you want to achieve politically. And it's true, and we can prove that over and over and over again through historical legislation and policies that have been passed and enacted. So that is our third pillar, that the laws and policies of civil government must provide for the safety and security of the citizens, especially the vulnerable that live among us in our communities. And finally, the fourth pillar, again, this is it. I'm sure you believe in this, is that it is inappropriate, flat out, for civil government to heap debt upon the backs of our children and future generations. And these days, right now, we are witnessing one of the greatest slave trade fiscal policy programs that we've ever seen. They are burying our kids in debt right now and our grandkids in debt, and they are turning them into bond servants of civil government. If you are having a baby today, then that baby is being born into a debt position with government that is going to be very hard to get out of. So this is a key pillar moving forward that we all rally around, and that we want to make sure government leaders know that that is inappropriate. It is not right for you to turn our kids into bond servants. So those are the four pillars. Now, this is what I said. Now, I told you I was going to present it to you from a little different perspective today. Normally, I just say, come on, let's rally around. Let's, come on. It's like an invitation for everybody to come around and join us. Well, what I'm seeing out there these days is I'm seeing a dangerous thing happening in some of the hearts and minds of some of the leaders across the nation, where they actually hear what I just told you, and they actually in their minds and hearts somehow think that it is a choice as to whether or not they rally around these ideas. Now, I know everybody's got all these other things that they're doing out there. I know that they've got their own ministries, they've got their family issues, you've got things that are going on in your life. I know it's all really serious out there, but you know what? It's not a choice as to whether we rally around these things. It's absolutely critical that we actually get together these days, because if we don't, we're done. I mean, I don't think people really know out there. I come from a background of politics and government. I've been around politics for a while, but I don't think they really know some of the folks that are out there, and some of the ways that they view your views, and some of the things that they think in their minds about the things that you think in your mind, and how they just want to dismiss it and dismiss you, and they don't even want you engaged in the political processes or in government decisions at all with the views and values that you bring to the table. So the only way that we can actually deal with these people that are actually in very high and lofty positions in our land is to come together. That's the only way, because if they look out on the landscape and they see us all scattered on the hillsides and nobody's kind of gathering together in groups that actually carry some political clout, they know we're divided, and they're just as happy to have us out there, especially these days. And we're going to talk about this in the boardroom. There is a focused effort by civil government to break us up into smaller groups so that we are less effective. So we are fighting back to bring ourselves together, rallying around the things that we believe in, to preserve the things that we believe in for our kids and future generations. And it's not a choice. This is not a choice. If you think, well, I don't know, I'll listen to this guy for a bit and see if it's worth, paying attention to or not, or maybe I won't come on, maybe I will come on next briefing, maybe I won't come on, maybe I'll bring more people to the next briefing, maybe I won't. You know what? These are choices we don't have. That is, unless you find somebody else out there that's doing this. I'm not saying rally around me, by the way. I'm not telling you to come on and rally around me. That's not it at all. I'm saying in your own community, gather a bunch of people together and rally around these four things and build a unified team around these people in your personal network. And if this is a tool that will help you do that, if this is a tool that will help bring people together, then use this tool of the National Leadership Briefing, because that's what we're all about. We're about being something that can be useful to you. So right at this point in time, you need to know how serious it is out there and how seriously under threat we are out there as people of faith here in Canada, especially. So don't think it's a choice. It's absolutely not a choice. Okay, so that is the four pillars. That is why you're here. That is why we rally around. I'm so glad you're here, because you know what? As soon as one more person comes on this team and gathers with us, we increase our combined influence. It goes up right away. So this is why we encourage also that if you're sitting here on the briefing for the first time today, we actually encourage everyone to bring someone new to the briefing next time to grow the influence every time. The perfect scenario is if every single month to month, we doubled our numbers. That means that everybody out there is doing what we ask them to do, and just bring one more person. You know what? If it's good for you, 1 hour a month, once a month, on the first Friday of every month for 1 hour maximum, dedicate that amount of time to coming together, to just gathering ourselves around these four ideas and advancing them into society, culture, politics, and government. So that is what we want you to do for next time. So we'll see you next time with your friend on the line as well. All right. Great. Now, conservativeupdate.com, and then we're going to head over to the boardroom. This is an exciting period of time in conservativeupdate.com. Now, see that logo right there? That's the website. If you're not familiar with it, what that website is that is a tool that has been created for you. It's been created for you so that you can exercise your combined influence and have greater influence in the outcome of the Conservative Party of Canada leadership election race. The things that you believe in have been promoted to all of the candidates. There's 4 of them. They've been promoted, all of the candidates on this website. All the campaigns have seen these ideas of yours on the website. They've reviewed them, and they are now having an opportunity to respond to you and tell you what they think of your ideas. And that's an exciting part of the plan, because on the website, there's a section called the Candidate Communication page. And that's where they've had a chance to review the 4 pillars. They've had a chance to consider some of the legislative and policy proposals that we put on the website that you told us were important to you. And now they can put up videos and PDF written Word documents that you can then view and download and share within your personal network. So this is an exciting time, because the politicians are listening to you. That's the best part about conservativeupdate.com, is when you know that the campaigns have seen and heard what's important to you, and now they're going to speak. Now, the reason we want them to speak, remember, is that the election that's going on right now within that party, you actually are going to get a ballot in the mail if you are a member of the party. Now, that's a big part of this, is you have to get your membership in this party, because that makes you eligible to vote. Okay? Again, I got to tell you, you might in your mind be thinking it's a choice. I wonder if I should, or I wonder if I should. This is not a choice. This person is going to be likely the next prime minister of our country. And you want to exercise as much influence as you possibly can over the outcome of that leadership election race. So you getting your membership is not a choice. You need to get your membership. So you get a ballot, of course, but secondly, because you are completely you're going to be without any kind of authority or power at all to recommend that other people do the same. And that's what we want you to do, is gather as many people around you as you can that share your views and values, get them all memberships in that party so that they can all purchase the membership to receive a ballot in the mail. And then they can look at the 4 candidates that are up there and say, which one of these candidates, first off, best represents my views and values, and second of all, is willing to represent my views and values as the prime minister of our nation. Think about it. We have a choice. There's 4 of them, and believe me, you could drive trucks between their positions on a lot of the issues out there that are important to you. And if you don't pick the right prime minister, if you don't pick the right candidate during this election, you could have someone in the highest office in the land that doesn't give a rip about what you believe in. So we've got to actually get this straight. And in these days, it's so critical not to miss opportunities. I just want you to know that. Do not miss this opportunity to put the person in the highest office in the land that shares your views and values. So a lot of our problems disappear, okay? So that's conservativeupdate.com. That's the next stage, is the candidate communication page on the website. Go take a look at it. Make sure you register when you're there. Go take a look at it and look for that candidate communication page, because all of a sudden within the next 2 weeks, you're going to see these videos, boom, popping up on there. It's going to be each of the 4 candidates saying, this is what I think about a parent's right to raise their kids the way they want. This is what I think about right of belief and freedom of religion. This is what I think about the importance of us not passing laws that hurt the vulnerable. And this is what I believe we're going to be able to do to lift that burden of debt off of our children and future generations. You do not want to miss that part of the website, but get registered on the website so that we know you're there, so we can send you the updates when they come on the website, okay? So that's Conservative Update, one of the many tools that we provide to you here on the National Leadership Briefing to make sure that you can exercise the influence that we are bringing together on the briefing itself. Okay. Hope that was helpful. Wow, man, I got to talk fast. We got so much to talk about today. So we're 20 minutes into the briefing. I want to get into the boardroom here, but first I want to preface it by reminding you about this particular fella. Okay, so we're going into the boardroom and we're going to talk about politicians that don't give a rip about what you think, but this is one of my favorite videos that I ever play. This is a video of it is a member of parliament that was up for re-election, and he is part of a panel during the last election, and a pastor in the Lower Mainland who had the greatest courage of any pastor I'd seen to actually bring these candidates into his church to say, look, this is an important decision. We're going to be voting for somebody, and we need to know, are they going to be willing to represent our views and values? And in this particular case, in the video clip you're about to see, it's only a minute long. In this video clip, this pastor asked an all-important question. He said, I need to know from each of the candidates, he said, I need to know whether we're going to be allowed to speak the things that we want to say that are representative of our views and our values. Are we going to be able to speak? Now, this is the interesting thing about it, is that all the other candidates answered the question, but this one member of parliament who was up for re-election, who again got re-elected again, he won the election. Listen to his answer. It sounds on the surface so perfect, like, yes, and all this, we respect this, we respect that. But listen to him talking about where it is that you're allowed to exercise your right to speak, and the limits, and how laws are going to kind of contain you into your churches. I'll just let him do the talking, and we'll catch up in the boardroom right after. But have a listen to this, and we'll see you over in the boardroom shortly.
Okay, Randeep.
Sure. Freedom of religion is enshrined, as I said, in the Charter, and I will protect the right of a faith-based group to practice their faith freely in their own church or place of worship as they please. And I think our laws do not penetrate the walls of a church, and you're free to do that. However, I will not change the laws or go into the bedrooms of people and choose who they want to love. But you would have every freedom to preach to your congregation based on your faith, and so are other congregations allowed to do the same. And that is protected in the Charter, and that will be protected, and I will always stand by that right. We've never gone into churches and told them how they should practice their faith, and nor should anyone else ever do that.
I mean, it's just right out there in front for us to see that individuals like this member of parliament, again, who is presently in the House of Commons, not at this moment, but is elected to the House of Commons, but we can clearly see that this person believes that you should have your right to say anything you want to say, as long as it is within the walls of your church or during one of your worship services. And there is nothing that is more obvious to me than this clip, and more revealing about the kind of people we do not want to have representing us, or actually pretending to represent us in the House of Commons or in our legislatures, and we just got to out them. We just got to make sure that they are that when we see an example like this. So I am happy to share that. Yes, I am happy to share that because it is such a perfect example of what we're talking about. Okay, so now we're in the boardroom now, and we wanted to talk about civil government. Again, some of the challenges that we're having with civil government. We'll get to the hard truths in a bit, but just stay with me here. We're going to focus on the challenges that we're having with civil government. Now, I'm going to include it in the post notes for you again, but to have watched the April 3rd, 2020 National Leadership Briefing that shows you the challenge with civil government, the solution, and the plan for the road ahead. That is a recommendation that I've made, but I want to bring out the teaching template that we used during that National Leadership Briefing. And instead of using the big one that we'll put on the board here, I wanted to show you the one that you can download off of the website. So this document is under the teaching template section at NLBCanada.ca. And if you use, or if you have one of these printed off actually in front of you every National Leadership Briefing, sometimes it's a good idea to follow along and you can kind of see what all these circles mean, and because we use it for different things at different times. But today we're talking about the areas of responsibility and the authority of the citizen. Okay, so this is what's happening, and one of the major challenges right now in our Canadian society and with regards to our government. Okay, civil government, each of these circles, if you recall, each of these circles are spheres of authority, and they're actually spheres of responsibility as well. So each of these circles has authority within it, and a limit to its authority on the circle on the outside, and the inside of it is really the sphere of responsibility that you have. So as a citizen, as an individual self, you are a person who operates with authority. You have constituent authority we've taught about here on the briefing. You have citizen authority. You have kingdom authority that I'm always encouraging pastors to teach on. And you also have political party authority, like for conservativeupdate.com, we're exercising political party authority as a citizen in working to elect the next leader of that party in that specific thing. But that is you as an individual with your sphere of authority up to the limit of that authority, which is the line, and then you've got your area of responsibility. You can make all the decisions that are relevant to you. Families also have a sphere of authority in Canada. They are also a form of government. These are all governments: self-government, family government, church government, and civil government. And what we teach on the National Leadership Briefing, of course, is that civil government has the tendency to expand beyond its jurisdictional limit of its authority into the realms of church, family, and self. Now, the reason why I wanted to review that with you today, and why I was hoping that you watched the April 3rd briefing where we go into that teaching in more detail, is because there are also outside of church, family, and self-governments, there are other governments in our society. There are other jurisdictions where authority exists. And one of those jurisdictions is the marketplace. Businesses. We have in Canada, as the backbone of our economy, we have an economy that is dominated by small businesses. And with the situation that we're in right now, as we're watching government making the decisions to shut down all of the businesses and then start making the decisions as to when those businesses can reopen, that is a real challenging issue for a lot of people out there who believe in the independence of business. Now, I'm not talking about, like I told you today at the beginning of the briefing, I'm here in my office today. I'm working in the office today. I just ran into a fellow down the hall. He's working in the office today. Everybody's being safe. Everybody's doing it. But in this particular case, I'm talking about the government exercising authority that is questionable to shut down the entire economy and close all businesses and control when they reopen. This is a challenge because they have their hands on the revenue streams of all of these businesses and all of their employees and all of their employees' lives. And it is an absolute complete taking over of control of so many aspects of our society when you shut down the marketplace. Now, if you think about civil government, it's them acting that way in the sphere of marketplace. I mean, I imagine there's another circle here, another government here, is no different than what they've also been doing to the individuals and to families and to the church. Now, if you take a look at civil government, the reason why that they actually are so captivated by this grab of authority and power in the marketplace is because so many people in society, so many individuals and families and churches depend on revenues that come out of small business, whether it's the payroll to the people, to the staff of the businesses themselves, whether it's the businesses who actually are owned by families, individual family businesses, whether it's businesses that tithe to churches on the revenues from their businesses. You know, they literally, when the government grabs a hold of small business in Canada, I want you to know how significant a challenge that is for all of the other jurisdictions in Canada, in our society. And the most important thing to know about that is that as the government, as civil government reaches out and starts to have this negative impact on all of these other jurisdictions, there are people involved that are suffering financially. And there's all kinds of different challenges that come in society when finances are hurt to that degree. And so what the civil government then has the ability to do is they can then say, okay, we know that you're suffering out there, but don't worry, we will take care of you. And that's what's happening right now in Canada, is you're seeing a massive amount of money going out to actually help the people that can't go to work and can't work in their businesses and can't feed their families and can't do all of these different things. And the government is trying to be the sole source of everything that you need. And they are printing money like, you know, I'm telling you things you already know. The cupboards are bare here in Canada. We do not have the money, so they're borrowing money to actually give to citizens. Now, this is why this template's so important, is you can see that inside of this jurisdictional sphere of authority here, that there are different size circles. Well, those are individuals. Well, a couple of months ago, pardon me, we actually taught you that these supersized circles here, those are politicians. When you actually, as individuals, get together and you elect governments, you supersize individuals to have a significant amount more authority than the average citizen out there on the street. These circles are a lot smaller. So those are supersized citizens with extra authority. Well, the reason these little circles here are smaller than all of the other circles there is because what government then does is they take the revenues, the treasury that come in from taxes, and then they start allocating it out to citizens and say, come on over to the fold, come on over, we'll take care of you in government, and we'll just come on here and we'll send you checks every month. There's funding models out there for picking up payroll costs, and there's funding models out there for everybody right now because nobody's got an income, yet they're controlling when business goes back to work. The problem is that when you start taking money from the government, and it becomes a habit, or it becomes over a period of time, and you hobble small business, then these individuals become dependent on government over time, and their authority to speak up freely is diminished. That is why their circles are smaller, is because they compromise the amount of authority they have by taking the money from government over an extended period of time. Now, people are going to freak out if they hear me say that without me saying, okay, look, there are people out there that need money. I know that. Taking care of the vulnerable in our society is a backbone of the National Leadership Briefing. It's the third pillar. It's what we focus on. But I'm talking about the government intentionally creating a dependency of civil government for people so that they get used to receiving the money, and they are only going to come back to government for money as opposed to returning to the marketplace to earn their money. So that is a challenge. Just want to grab this again because I want to point this out to you. One last thing. We're going to talk about it in a second here, but civil government, the only thing, and this is where we talked about before when I was at my desk, was I said the only thing that is going to contain civil government, that is going to keep it from reaching into all of these areas, into the marketplace, into your personal life, into the family, and into the church. The only thing that's going to keep them held back is you. You are the only people that are going to be able to push civil government back into its appropriate jurisdictional zone or area of responsibility. But right now, it is on the grow. It is maximizing this opportunity. It's capitalizing on this opportunity, pardon me, to grow itself, and we must contain it. So again, if you're thinking it's a choice to come together and rally around the 4 pillars, sorry, it's not at this point in time. Now, before I go back to the desk, I told you we were going to talk about some hard truths, and I want to just cover them off really quickly here. So I'm going to qualify this again first. Hard truths are called hard truths for a reason. They're not easy to think about, but I want to share them with you because I don't want you to be, again, thinking that this is all a maybe I will, maybe I won't scenario. This is an absolutely must do. We're committed, mission focused. Let's go for it, and let's get the job done on the road ahead. Let's grow this thing. Let's bring more people in together, because it's going to take us all to deal with some of these realities we're in. First of all, the hard truths. When I showed you that circle of civil government and all of those little circles that are starting to collect inside civil government, people that have compromised amounts of authority as citizens of Canada who become dependent on civil government, they are in fact becoming a part of a government plan to establish a welfare class in our society. The government of the day, the one that we have right now, would love nothing more than to create an entire new class of people that are entirely dependent on that government. Because the reality is that we don't believe in our world, the people that are on this briefing here, we don't believe in establishing intentionally a welfare class that is dependent on government. We don't believe that. So that welfare class that this government that's currently in Canada is establishing, they're doing it intentionally so that they have the support. They're basically building a base of people that will continually be dependent on them and will vote for them in the future. That is what is the hard truth about what we're witnessing right now in Canada, is the establishment of a welfare class for political gain. The second one is that this other hard truth that we have to acknowledge that is happening out there, we just saw it, we've taught about this before, is that there is a scarcity of resources in our medical system here in Canada. If you took a look internationally at places like Spain and Italy and New York City, where their capacity to deal with people during this pandemic has been tested to the limit. In Spain, there's videos online of doctors who are sobbing because they're actually walking through the wards at the hospitals, and they're saying they had to let all these people die because they didn't have the resources to actually provide them with medical care because the need was so great. Well, when in Canada here, we have a limited amount of medical resources here in our country, and they're using something called the Quality Adjusted Life Years Model for funding. Again, Quality Adjusted Life Years Model, and what they do is they actually take a look at your age and how many more good years of work life have you got, and what's another one here? Oh yeah, the cost of the treatment that you require. And they take a look at, if you within our socialized medical system, they take a look at whether you have productive life years that are left inside of a strained medical system operating at its maximum. You only have so many resources to go around. If you're, say, 16 years old to 41 years old, and you're in the middle of your working life, you are productive, income earning member of society, and you get pancreatic cancer, you're going to have a good shot at getting the treatments. But when medical resources are scarce within this Quality Adjusted Life Years model, if you are older, a senior citizen, and you get pancreatic cancer, then you've got a problem, because you are actually going to be placed in a scarce, in a system where with scarce resources, you're going to be placed at the end of a long list that probably will never serve you. And this is the challenge that we have in Canada right now, is that, and we just saw it play out in other countries in the world, so people can call me crazy, but I'll just point to all these other examples where they hit the limit. They hit the limit of the medical resources they've got, and so they use quality adjusted life years. Now, people go, Doug, what's the evidence here in Canada? We haven't seen any of that happen in Canada. Well, we've just passed euthanasia laws here in Canada. So we've taken the quality adjusted life years model and we've said, okay, at the very end of life, the last 3 or 4 months of your life, you're just on dialysis, or you're a cancer treatments or whatever. And so euthanasia, we'll just peel off a couple of years at the end of your life. What about abortion? The beginning of your life. So they're actually already kind of working the both ends of the of life and using the quality adjusted life years model there. So don't tell me that doesn't exist out there, because if you Google that and do any kind of research at all, there governments all around the world are taking a look at this funding model. And it's unless you have something called social benefit that you will receive your funding for your medical treatments outside of your of those peak life years. So in other words, if you're 75 years old and you have a social benefit to society, like maybe you're a politician or a senator or something like that, then you've got access to the actual system, and you're going to have continued resources provided. But that is a real problem. That's a hard truth about where we're at. We have finite medical resources, and they're going to use this model more and more, and you're going to see it. They're also going to show you and demonstrate governments that are actually, especially the one we've got right now, they're willing to sacrifice lives to achieve political objectives. And you are going to tell me again, Doug, come on, you can't vilify the government. So, well, let me show you this. I'm going to share this with you. One of the things that this government has promised to do is to fully decriminalize prostitution. Our current government here in Canada. And again, I want to tell you why we're talking about hard truths, because I don't want you to leave this briefing today to think you have a choice. Because you don't have a choice. We need to actually come together. This is an absolute requirement. So when I read this here, please, I want you to understand I'm doing this for a reason. Facts about prostitution and human sex trafficking. Here in Canada, this government wants to legalize prostitution, fully decriminalize prostitution, I should say, just to be correct with the language. But human sex trafficking is actually a feeder stream into the life of prostitution. So let's look at human sex trafficking. It's the fastest growing crime in Canada in the world. Human sex slavery has low costs and huge profits for organized crime. In Canada, a pimp or trafficker can earn about $280,000 a year per victim. The average pimp of prostitutes will have 4 to 5 girls working for him as prostitutes. And in Canada, the average age of entry into prostitution is 14 to 16 years of age. That is, unless you are a member of the First Nations community, Aboriginal girls can be trafficked as young as 7 to 11 years of age. And I've got a whole list of things. I'll include this in the post-briefing notes so you can see how absolutely horrifying it is to think that our government would actually do something like fully decriminalize prostitution, increasing the demand for prostitution and needing to increase the supply. The supply is human trafficked girls and boys into prostitution. And so our government right now is willing to do that. And that is a great example of it. They make one move on that, and we're not ready, and we're not standing together, and we're not prepared to respond, and they will just bulldoze that legislation through the House of Commons. We got to be there to confront that. And then the last thing here is there is going to be a continued emphasis on dismantling opposition to the plan of this particular government. Right now, let's grab this again, because this is the teaching template. Right now, if you don't believe that this is true, please open your eyes and have a look around. The civil government that we have right now at the federal level is working to expand its jurisdictional authority, and it's in a really a power grabbing situation now, where it's trying to grab as much authority from the church, the family, and individuals and the marketplace as it can. And the reason that it's doing that is because these are the only things that are standing in the way of it establishing itself as dominant. Civil government wants to dominate, but the problem is that each of these jurisdictions, each of these other governments don't consider civil government to be dominant. Sure, civil government serves a role, but if you ask an individual like me, and I'm going to say, you know what I hold above anything else? My faith, my God, my belief that there's more than this. If you talk to a mother and a father, they're going to hold the things about their family. They're going to have their own priorities as to what they hold above civil government. But civil government wants to dominate your life. And there are people out there that want to create this utopian vision for you and your family, and they're going to need to dismantle each of these other governments, which is what they're working on right now. They slapped a leash on the church years ago when they went with the Canada Revenue Agency guidelines for tax deductible donations. They're constantly doing it with education in the family. And then they're completely, right now, completely ignoring your charter rights of free speech. And the marketplace is being dismantled right now by the government. So that's what they're going to continue to do, is dismantle any opposition to their plan to expand civil government. So do we need to come together? I think we do. But you know, the great thing is that we are coming together, and every single month in the National Leadership Briefing, we're getting bigger numbers and bigger numbers and bigger numbers, and more people are talking about the need to contain civil government and to talk about the things that are important to us, which of course, as I can remind you, is that parents have the right to raise their kids the way they want, that the government representatives that we elect must respect and defend our right of belief, that it is important that when they pass laws, that they don't use the quality model, that they actually place the vulnerable citizen, and that is a priority to protect them. So no expanding euthanasia laws, none of this expansion of abortion, all of this stuff, because we are not going to use that. We're going to use what's best for the person. That's going to be the way we qualify it. And of course, we're going to be not establishing a welfare class. We're going to have good fiscal policy, and we're going to start lifting the burden of debt off of our children, so they're not born into this bondservant role of civil government. Well, I'm going to get back over to the desk here because I made you a promise that I was going to show you 3 quick things before we wrap it up today that are opportunities that we have ahead of us. I mean, I know we're right in the middle of this conservativeupdate.com website, and we're about to pick the next Prime Minister of Canada. And by the way, remember, you have to have your membership by May 15th. We got 2 weeks left for you to get your membership and for you to get all your friends to get their memberships before the deadline or the cutoff, so that we can actually vote and elect that person. Okay, so there's that opportunity. But I told you there's 3 more coming up. You know what? And there's always more. There's always going to be more opportunities. And the bigger we get collectively, the more opportunities are going to present themselves. And we're going to have a greater opportunity to exercise our influence and help make better decisions in civil government, society, culture, all sorts of things. So anyway, let me get over my desk now, and we'll leave it at that. But I'm going to pass this off for now and remind you that this is the hard truth, but we can get past this. We can definitely get past this. Okay. Talk to you soon. I'll just head back over there. Bye for now. Of course, that's our video that we have produced for promoting the conservativeupdate.com website. And I'm going to make sure that you have a downloadable copy of that in the post-briefing notes today so that you can share that with people. Again, we must remember this is the home stretch. And there's so many people that we have not involved in the conversation about influencing the outcome of the Conservative Party of Canada leadership election race. And I just want to make sure that we're doing everything we can. Our goal is to double the number of people that are actually engaged every single week. And we've got 2 weeks left. So let's double it and then double it again before that May 15th deadline of when you can buy memberships. Now, don't worry about after the deadline, and don't worry about how am I going to figure out who to vote for and all that kind of stuff. We are going to make sure that you have all of the information that you need to make an informed choice as to who it is that best represents your views and values. But really, for the right now, all you've got to be thinking about is, I've got to get my membership, and I've got to get every single person I know that shares my views and values. I got to get them to get their membership as well. So let's not miss this opportunity. conservativeupdate.com. Okay, so I told you as we finish up here, we're on the home stretch of the briefing here today. As we finish up, I told you that I was going to tell you about 3 opportunities that we have on the road ahead to exercise our influence. Again, we're all coming together. We're rallied around the things that we believe in, and we're just gathering ourselves together on a national level. We're like this huge group of people that want to just look around for these opportunities. Well, you know what? A lot of times the opportunities that come up for us to exercise our influence occur at the local level as well. So we were going to be, I told you on the midweek touch point last week that we're going to talk today real quickly about your personal network. Now that is, obviously we come once a month to the national leadership briefing, but in between then, gather people around you. Look for those people in your community, in your churches, your family members, your extended family members. Find the people that are around you that share your views and values and start connecting with them on a regular basis to build your personal network. Now, when you have a personal network established, you can use social media, you can use email, you can use all sorts of, you can get together after this whole COVID thing is lifted, you can start gathering together in person again. You can do whatever you want to do, but you got to get used to getting together. Make sure that you've got that network, that cohesion between you. And if we can help here at the National Leadership Briefing, if you want to plug people in once a month to the briefings so that we can help train and encourage and edify what it is you're trying to accomplish locally, then we are happy to do it. But really, we've got to place a priority on building that local personal network, because once you have that, then you are going to see these other opportunities pop up. And I'm going to give you 3 of them right away. Okay. One of the things that I hear an awful lot from pastors, and I'm just again, I'm pulling ones out of the sky. There's lots of opportunities. Is that I hear, I wish that our local ministerial had some really great stuff to sink their teeth into. So I've got something here that I really think if you are a pastor or a church leader and you're on a ministerial at a local church, or if you are in a church and you are someone who has a pastor and you want to help support them in this initiative, then listen up, because this is a beautiful opportunity where you can exercise a greater amount of influence and have a greater outcome when it comes to a specific event that is coming up. And I'm speaking specifically about the election of school board trustees in your neighborhood. Okay, the school board trustees play a key role. And I just want to let you know that if you started right now as a pastor communicating to the other members of your ministerial, and you started and said, I am going to make a decision right now that whenever the very next school board trustee election is in my area, I am going to be working to increase the amount of influence I have on the outcome of the election of those trustees. And the way I'm going to do it is and that's what we're going to teach you on the National Leadership Briefing. So pastors, gather your other leaders together on the ministerial and make the decision to have influence. Make the decision to make a difference in that contest, those contests that are coming up. Because I'm telling you, it doesn't take a lot when everybody works together to not only elect an individual school board trustee to the upcoming boards, but you can actually run a slate and elect them all. And that's what I'm going to teach you on the National Leadership Briefing on the road ahead. But start gathering the people together now. Do not wait for the training. Just say, look, let's do it. Let's get together. Plug them into the National Leadership Briefing if you want, or you can just, Well, I wish you would do that, but you could still just gather it from me and then go and try and teach it yourself as well. That's okay. But really start working on it now, because school board trustee elections, you can do it if you are a member of a ministerial or support a pastor who's on a ministerial. Okay, that's the first one here. Okay, the next one is that we have a situation in Canada where everybody in the country, I'm going to hold that up there, everybody, no matter where you are in Canada, you live inside of a red line on a Canada elections map, and that red line is the boundary of what's called an electoral district. That is a federal electoral district. And what's going to happen is before the next federal election, you are going to have an opportunity to actually decide who the candidate is for every one of the political parties in your riding, because every one of the political parties opens up a process called the nominations process. Now, I'm going to tell you something really interesting about this nominations process. Do you know how when everybody gets together nationally and they have a vote and like 38 million people get together and we all elect these governments and they count hundreds of thousands, millions of votes, and it takes millions of votes and we decide who the government is? Okay, well, during these nomination processes, not many people realize this, but sometimes nominations can be won with as few as 150 to 200 votes. You can actually win some nominations with very little in the way of numbers. Now, obviously, they're not all like that. I mean, sometimes you need to turn out the thousands, but it is a totally achievable goal to have great influence on the outcome of a political party candidate nomination process. Now, that's when the party gets together and says, okay, we're going to get all our party members together and we're going to elect one person to be the candidate in this electoral district. So if you're living in an electoral district and you don't like your member of parliament, this is a way to replace him. You could say to your member of parliament, well, you're not really representing my views and values when it comes to the 4 pillars. So we're going to find somebody who will. Now, here you go again. You have an opportunity where if you don't like that person, you can actually run your own candidate in a nomination. Just make sure that he's qualified or she's qualified to do the job, and make sure that they're willing to represent your views and values. So that's the second thing that you can start preparing for. And we're going to teach you how on the National Leadership Briefing to win local nominations and pick candidates. Okay? So you've got school board trustees. Now you've got local political candidates. It's looking good for you. It really is. Okay. Now the last thing is that each one of these political parties, I haven't got it right here with me. Each one of these political parties has a policy book. All of them get together as a party. They all get together as a party and they talk about policy. Well, every single one of these parties that are out there are going to have a policy convention at some point in time. Now, because of what's happening right now with gathering people together in large groups, we're not sure how that's going to look, but you can have great influence. If you have a personal network and you're dealing locally, you can have great influence if you put a few hundred people together and attended local policy meetings. So we're going to be talking about how you can impact the policy book of a national party by gathering people together locally in your own personal network and having great influence. It's an amazing thing. People don't realize these opportunities exist. Now you might say, Doug, that's an awful lot of politics you're talking there. No, I just want to clarify something for you. I'm not talking about you getting involved in politics. I'm talking about you rallying around the things that you believe in and having those things edified and amplified in the realm of society, culture, politics, and government. Because if you get a few hundred people together in your own personal network that believe that parents should have the right to raise their kids the way they want, and you decide that one of those 200 people would probably make a fantastic school board trustee, and those 200 people get together and they say, well, why don't we make sure that we get this person elected? That might be a political process that you're ultimately plugged into, but what you're really doing is you're doing everybody that believes that parents should have the right to raise their kids the way they want, you're doing them all a very big favor, and you are helping them, because we've got to make better decisions on our local school boards when it comes to what materials are being placed in front of our children. So that is why it may sound political, but it's not. It's actually just standing up for the things that you believe. And I think there's a responsibility for all of us to do just that. So anyway, I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you and serve you 1 hour, once a month. Midweek touch points are always like 5 to 10 minutes. So there's a little bit of time there every week. We just touch base, but I'm really looking forward to staying connected with you. And please do not hesitate to bring people to the next briefing. Let's double it up every time. Let's double it up every time. And let's see just how big we can get and how far we can advance these great pillars into society, culture, politics, and government. Well, thanks again for your time today. I'm Doug Sharpe. I'm still hosting the National Leadership Briefing until they hook me out of here. And I'm still running Canada Family Action as well. So get me your logos. And I'll put your logo up there as well. But until we meet next time, please just remember some of the things that we talked about. And don't forget to share it with your friends. And don't forget to get your Conservative Party of Canada membership before May 15th. Bye for now.